All right, so if any of you are joining the call and you're not familiar with Tether Tools, just kind of a little summary of who we are. Tether Tools is we consider ourselves the workflow solutions answer. Whether that's mounting a laptop, an iPad, a smartphone, or a monitor, we have all the arms, clamps, and grips and mounting solutions to make that happen, as well as all the cables, adapters, and cable management to kind of keep everything safe, secure, and connected. So just a little bit about Tether Tools, and we're also located in Phoenix, Arizona. So if any of you guys are ever in the Phoenix area, please feel free to email us and stop in and visit us in the office. And if you do have any questions or anything about Tether Tools, either during this presentation or anything else, just feel free to email us at customerservice@tethertools.com, and then someone will get back with you shortly.
Thank you everyone for coming today. And our organizer, our panelist, actually Clay, works here at Outdoor Photo Gear doing our social media and our marketing. So we're glad to be involved with Clay and with Tether Tools for this webinar. Outdoor Photo Gear, if you've not heard of us, we are an online store and a store based in Louisville, Kentucky. And we carry about 4,000 different items. No cameras or lenses, just all the good stuff that goes with them. Backpacks, tripods, and of course Tether Tools stuff. And we enjoy working with the Tether Tools people and love their products. So we're glad to be here. That's it.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. And of course, everyone will see a screen that just popped up. We have partnered with Outdoor Photo Gear for this, obviously, and Outdoor Photo Gear has been generous enough to offer a 10% off on all Tether Tools and CamRanger gear after the event. So, and it'll expire not until September 30th. So if you're interested in buying any photo gear or anything like that, definitely use the Tether10. It's an exclusive coupon code only provided through the presentation. So definitely take advantage of that and visit them on the website.
Yes, and Amber, that coupon is entered at checkout for the discount, and then all shipments in the U.S. are free.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Chris. And of course, if any of you guys have any questions after the webinar, you're more than welcome to call Outdoor Photo Gear at their phone number, 866-810-2456. Or, of course, you can always email them at info@outdoorphotogear.com. And they are also very active on Twitter and social media. So if you want to tweet them, it's OPGEAR. So it's Outdoor Photo, pretty much, and then Gear, OP Gear. All right, wonderful. Okay, well, why everyone is also, of course, here, Clay Cook. Well, Clay Cook is our featured speaker today. If anyone wants to check out him or follow him later, claycookphotography.com, and you can find him online there. And then, of course, I'm going to pass this over to Clay so he can go ahead and take the role here.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you so much. First off, I want to say thank you to Tether Tools, and also thank you to Outdoor Photo Gear for setting this whole thing up. It's a big undertaking, and it requires a lot of work, and I can't thank you all enough for the opportunity to have me in front of all you guys today. First off, let me just introduce myself. As you know, I'm Clay Cook. I'm a fashion, commercial, and editorial photographer based here in the Midwest. I also do social media marketing for Outdoor Photo Gear, as well as I'm a staff writer for F-Stoppers. I just want to give a little bit of background on me before we dive into things here. At the age of 16, I started playing guitar, and I started playing music with some of my friends very casually, and that got more and more serious, and the time went on. We started playing in front of little people here and there, and then more people, and then we started touring, and we went from selling little to no records to 20,000 records. Around that same time, I started dabbling in Photoshop, and I started designing flyers and started designing ad mats and album artwork, things of that nature for other bands, and they started paying me to do it. And that's actually how I lived on the road for a while. But the more we got successful, the more I got turned off by the music business and turned on to the graphic and design. And by the time the band broke up in 2010, I dove in fully to graphic design, and at that same time decided to get a Nikon D5000 just to shoot stock photography, and it pretty much snowballed from there. That was 2010, and it's now 2014, and I've been shooting for a little around 3 years, and it's just completely changed my life forever. It's really cool that I get to do the things that I do. About halfway through my career, I started seriously getting into fashion editorial, and the one thing that I realized that all these guys were tethering. They tether because they want to get, they want to see the background distractions. They want to make sure that everything is tack sharp and there's no distractions, and it's really hard to see that on the back of an LCD screen. It really is. At the time when I first started tethering, I was using prevention methods such as wrapping the cable around my lens or even stuffing the cable in my pocket and not even really having any security there from the cable. And so here I am on a beauty shoot one day in my studio, and suddenly I step on the USB cable and out goes the cable from my port. And, making sure that no one saw me, very discreetly, plug it back in, but I suddenly realized that I didn't have any connectivity whatsoever. I was screwed. And I looked at my computer and double checked things and just had to finish the shoot without tethering. And I, kind of discreetly put it to the side and didn't say anything about it. But for the next 6 months after that, I continued to try to tether, and I would just constantly have problems with my USB port, and nothing would work right. So I started having to apply a piece of tape around my camera, and then on the side of the camera to secure that cable inside the USB port. And it just was a joke. I mean, it just was an absolute joke. Didn't really work. Every now and then it would work, and there's connectivity issues. And I had to deal with that for 6 months, and so did my clients. And it was kind of embarrassing that I had to do that in the first place. About that same time when I was applying this tape, I found a company called Tether Tools. And I was introduced to this little device here called the jerk stopper. And what the jerk stopper does is prevents any sort of drastic snap or drastic pull to the tether cable, and basically relieves all the stress off the USB port and puts it onto the body of the camera, so that there's no ripping of the cable or anything of that nature. And how it works is I would take this cable, plug it into the USB port, and then this would basically snap or slide. It can do both. And as you can see, that's basically taking all the stress off the cable and putting it onto this handle here where the camera straps would normally be held. So there it is right there. That is called the jerk stopper, and that's available at outdoorphotogear.com, and I think it's about $16.99, 17 bucks. What this made me realize is that if I would have invested into a $17 piece of gear, I could have prevented a really hefty repair bill. So investing into things like backup hard drives, rain covers, camera straps, cases, things of that nature are so important because they will prevent a future accident from happening and probably will save you some dollars in the end. So I shoot mostly on location. For my fashion editorial work, we're always going out to these rock quarries and these abandoned houses and these crazy places and these rooftops and everything, shooting these amazing editorials with the latest fashion trends and whatnot. And it's so important that my client, in this case a magazine, is seeing those images as they come, as I'm shooting. And it's so important that they are engaged in the photo shoot. And the only way that I've been able to do that is via this little device called the CamRanger. I've tried so many different tethering devices. I've tried the iFi card. I've tried tethering through just the camera itself. And then at Photo Plus 2 years ago, I happened to stumble upon this device called the CamRanger, and I was like, I gotta get that. I gotta check it out. And it just blew me away. It really just changed the fabric of how I shoot. So how the CamRanger works is that this device right here connects to your camera via USB. and then it sends out a Wi-Fi signal. And then via that Wi-Fi signal, you can connect through any iPad, iPhone, Android, laptop, any sort of mobile device. You can connect to that Wi-Fi source. So when you take a shot, that image is instantly streamed to the device. And it's not necessarily a tethering device because no images are transferred. It simply streams off the memory card. So all the images stay on the memory card, which is how I like it, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to be editing from my iPad. I'm not going to be editing from, my smartphone, my iPhone at all. So I like it so where the memory, all the images stay on the camera itself, and the iPad or the viewing device is simply a viewing platform for my client. So what I give my clients in this case is, as I tether to the CamRanger, what I provide to them is this setup right here. Here's my iPad, and this is called the Wally system. This is the Wally right here. This back cage right here basically sucks on the back side of your iPad and attaches there. And then this is the Connect Lite, this little device right here. And this gives the ability to connect anything like a strap, a tripod, anything of that nature to your iPad. In this case, what I provide to my clients on location is the Connect Lite with a Wally system and a BLACKRAPID RS4. So they're basically walking around with this rig. Anywhere that I go, they're falling around, and it's always connected to the strap, so they have the iPad very secure. There's nothing to worry about, and they can see every image that I shoot come through. So they'll be back there scanning through images, rating images, things of that nature, while I am shooting away on the ground or wherever I might be. They're over here like favoriting their images and really seeing what's going on. And this is such a vital part of what I do now that I actually have clients that ask to shoot with me because I have this system. The first thing they ask, where's my CamRanger, when I get on a shoot, because they're so interested in seeing the images, and they're so excited the fact that they can see the images without having to get all close and awkward and breathing over your shoulder constantly like, let me see what's going on. Because even though they trust you, they still want to see, the results live. But now I'm going to go into basically the evolution of my rig. And you might have seen the photo in the very beginning of my big rig that I use on some of my studio or on location shoots. And it's probably a little overwhelming at first, but I'm going to kind of build it so you can kind of see it piece by piece and just know what everything does, so that maybe you can try it, and maybe you can pick up some Tether Tools gear and try it yourself. And the reason why I do all this is for behind the scenes, because I love to pay it forward. I love to educate others. I love to tell people what I'm doing. It's great for marketing. It's great for business, and it's great for getting future clientele, things of that nature. I've always had a fascination with first-person video games and behind the scenes, and I really think it's so engaging when you can kind of see, everything that's around you in a first-person perspective. So I'd seen a couple of first-person videos floating around the internet, with a GoPro on the hot shoe, things of that nature, and I thought instantly that I needed to do that. I do all these cool shoots, and I felt like I needed to share firsthand what I'm seeing as I shoot. The only problem was I use strobes a lot. There's something always connected to my hot shoe, so I needed a different solution. And the first way I came up with rigging this system was to first invest in a CB Mini RC bracket. These things are actually known as the Terry bracket because this is essentially the same bracket that Terry Richardson uses to rig his speedlight and get that real snapshot feel. So basically this goes on the bottom of your camera. I'll just kind of hook it up right here. And in this case, you could rig a speedlight mount or rig whatever you want. In my case, when I first started this, I was like, okay, so how can I mount a GoPro using this mount? So I first used a nasty clamp. These are cool little clamps that you can get, nastyclamps.com. They're really interesting. You know, they're good for just rigging whatever you want. And in that case, I mounted a GoPro, and I actually mounted using a nasty clamp on the front side of this. Well, problem was that it wasn't really conventional. It didn't really work. It was really kind of loose, and the GoPro kind of floated everywhere, and it just didn't really look all that great. So I needed a really more heavy-duty solution. So that's when I stumbled upon the Tether Tools 11-inch articulating arm. You can pretty much mount anything you want on this. I've mounted anything from lighting to my iPad to, in this case, a GoPro on this, and you can just move it in any sort of different position that you want. And it's really good for a mounting solution. So I have a GoPro Hero 3 Black Edition. I have the LCD screen on the back, so I can kind of get my frame, and then I turn it off to save battery. I have a 32 gigabyte SanDisk card in this, and also have this frame. I don't use the waterproof case unless I'm actually shooting in some hazardous conditions. So basically what I do is I will come over here and I will screw in, and then I will mount the GoPro over the lens just like that. And so this was it, you know, with my Pocket Wizard Plus 3 on the hot shoe, my 11-inch articulating arm from Tether Tools, the GoPro 3 Black Edition, and my CB Mini RC from Custom Brackets. So this is pretty much it. This was my rig for a while. One of the biggest responses I received, like, hey, Clay, we want to see audio on this thing. We want to hear what you're saying. We want to hear how you direct models, and we really want to hear how you interact with people on a photo shoot. So coming from a video production background, I thought, well, how the heck am I going to do that? I've got, you know, all this stuff on my rig already. This is heavy. You know, it's not light. How am I going to really make this work in a high quality fashion? So I really looked into it and studied, and I came up with the fact that GoPro actually sells this little audio adapter, so where I can plug in any sort of lav or mic systems directly into the GoPro. So I wouldn't have to get an alternate camera recording my audio, any sort of zoom system or anything like that. Basically what I can do is just plug this right into the GoPro there, and then I would set up a lav system. So we're going to go ahead and do that. But I was like, how am I going to have a lav system on this camera when I have a Pocket Wizard that I need to use as well? So there's a solution to that, and that is the Tether Tools accessory bar. And what this does is allow for multiple hot shoe or cold shoe devices to be mounted on the top of your shoe. So basically, I put this right here, screw that in. I plug the Pocket Wizard on this side. And because it's a cold shoe, I still need to be able to attach the Pocket Wizard and have the camera fire the Pocket Wizard. So in that case, I have to use this PC cable, which goes directly from the Pocket Wizard into the camera. And then I'm using a very generic lav system that I will mount onto the top of the accessory bar here. And then this goes right into the GoPro. And then what I would do is take this lav myself, and then I've got a full-blown setup here. So this is it. This is my setup. As you can see, it's a little crazy, it's a little overwhelming, but what I have here is the GoPro, and then the audio out, which is going to the lav, which I'm laved, and then mic'd. So when I take this footage straight from off the GoPro, the audio is embedded already onto the GoPro, so it's just easy. I don't have to sync any audio. I don't have to do anything like that. The audio is already attached to the GoPro. So I would have the CamRanger here, which I always use with the little accessory pouch, and then I would clip that to my belt, or sometimes I put it in my pocket, whatever works, whatever is easiest for the situation. And then I've got the 11-inch articulating arm that's coming down to the CV bracket. I've got my Pocket Wizard Plus 3 with a cable that's going into the port here, which is going to fire my triggers. And then I've got the lav mic with the GoPro. So that's my setup here. So you might ask, like, why do you use this big rig? Well, it's so important because I love to pay it forward, as I said earlier, but also, more importantly, I like to provide behind the scenes for my friends and followers. You know, my friend Brett Jarnigan once said, we're not just photographers, we're original content creators. And that's so true. Our main objective out there is just to create some original content for people to see online. And that's how you really build a following and fan base. And it's so important for me to share behind the scenes because not only does it help me and help my following, but also gives me the potential to gain more clientele because clients will go and they'll check you out. They're going to check you out on Facebook. They're going to check you out on website. And if you got some behind the scenes footage and see how you really work on set, they're more likely to hire you in the end. People love to see what goes into production, and that's why production stills and behind the scenes and special featurettes on DVDs are so popular because they love to see what it took and the work it took to go into that production, and they want to know how it was done. So I like to give that unique look into my photography, and behind the scenes have become such a popular entity that a lot of my clients have a budget for behind the scenes. If you see all these major magazines, Vanity Fair, Harper's Bazaar, they're constantly coming out with behind the scenes features because it is so imperative to have that content online. You know, people want to see you working. They want to see you. They don't really want to see your food. They don't want to see, you know, your dog, sorry, but they want to see you out there working and the cool things that you're doing. So share that information, but be humble about it. That's so important too because they don't want to hear you bragging. That's a big turnoff. They do want to see that you're doing cool stuff, and they want to see the work that's backed up by that cool stuff. So with every photo that I post, I make sure to share a unique story. Like, hey, this happened with this photo. This is what happened or went down with this photo shoot. Or explain your challenges. Explain that what you went through to capture the image, and be unique to you. So it's important that we're our own unique character. We're our own unique being out in this big cyberspace world. There's so much noise out there. In order to sift through all that noise, you have to be a really unique person. You know, get out there, set yourself up for failure, and be unique and try to stand out from the pack. Social media is a big give and take process. So in order to really receive feedback on your images and on your work, you got to give a little bit. You got to give some behind the scenes. You got to give some how-tos. You got to give some tutorials. You got to give people some information in order for you to receive feedback. So be unique, share your story, and stand out from the pack. I just want to say thanks again to Tether Tools and thanks to Outdoor Photo Gear. And again, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ClayCookPhoto or Facebook, facebook.com/ClayCookPhotography, or on my blog, clay-cook.com. And if you're a casual reader of F-Stoppers, I have a lot of articles on there as well. We're going to go into questioning. I really want to make sure that I answer all your questions.
Great, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Clay. We do actually have a couple questions sitting in the queue.
Okay.
One of them is individuals are asking, what is the camera that you're using as well as the lens?
Okay, so I'm using a Canon 5D Mark III. I started out shooting Nikon, and the reason I shot Nikon is just because I was told that was a great camera. I saw a lot of wedding photos my friend had done, and I just assumed that Nikon was the best camera. So I started shooting Nikon, started with a Nikon 5000, then I moved into D7000, and then I got more and more into video, and the video side of things, and I realized that I needed something with some really good video capabilities, and that's when I got into Canon. And I love Canon, I love Nikon, I love Nikon's glass, but Canon just works for me. I just actually picked up the Mamiya medium format. So really at the end of the day, it's not really about the camera or anything else. For me, it's just about the end result. I use a 7200. This is a 7200 2.8. Canon L lens, and it's beautiful glass. I prefer to use prime lenses on location because it's a good medium in between an uncompressed background, like a wide-angle lens would create, and then a compressed background that this would create, this long lens would create. So I like prime lenses. I like a 50 millimeter, and then I like the 85, and I have both. I usually stick to the 50 millimeter just because that's about the right for fashion, because a lot of times I'm shooting full body, or in commercial fashion I have to get shoes, and I have to get the full body. So usually I stick to the 50 millimeter on location. But in the studio, I like the real compressed background because it makes the model taller a lot. I shoot low, and then it makes the model taller if you shoot with a really longer lens. And unfortunately, I have to get way back. But as you saw in the video, I was pretty far back from where I shoot the models in the studio. But yeah, that's why I prefer to shoot with 7200. And this is pretty much my rig that I use in the studio. Canon 5D Mark III and a 7200 2.8.
All right, perfect. And I know a couple questions were coming through earlier that I ended up answering. The total weight of your rig with everything on it is 8 pounds. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. So okay. I've been asked that a couple times, like, how much does that weigh? And granted, it can be a little bit weird looking and awkward, but it does weigh 8 pounds. This exact thing weighs 8 pounds, and then the attachment itself weighs a little under 2 pounds. So the attachments and everything don't really weigh that much. It's just the camera itself, because I think the camera without the attachments weighs a little over 6 pounds. So yeah, the attachments, things like that, put on about 2 pounds of weight. So.
Okay. All right. We did have a question about where you actually put the CamRanger when you're shooting.
Right. Okay. So I prefer, because I already have so much on top of my camera, I don't really want to put the CamRanger anywhere. There's just not really much to put it unless I like rig it maybe under here or something. But I usually, this original case that came with it, what I usually do is either just clip it on my belt, or sometimes I'll even just put this in my pocket. That works a lot, because a lot of times I need something that's, I can't be attached to it too much, so I got to have some way to easily take it off. So either I just clip this to my belt real quick, or I'll put it in my pocket, because usually I'm setting my camera down, because I don't use straps, because I just don't like straps when I'm shooting in the studio. So I like to kind of be free and mobile and things of that nature. So yeah, basically I take the CamRanger, and in this little pouch here that they actually provide with the purchase of a CamRanger, and I just basically lock it to my belt. So.
Perfect. And for a lot of other people, if they don't want a big enough rig, or the kind of big rig that Clay actually has set up, there are quite a few of other solutions that Tether Tools actually offers, which we're going to cover here in just a few. So you actually can mount the CamRanger to your camera. So we'll get to those.
Yeah.
There was a gentleman that was asking the extension bar. How does the Pocket Wizard connect to the camera via wire? It's actually a sync cord from the Pocket Wizard to the camera, and then the hot shoe.
Yeah, that's what this is right here.
Yep. And then the extension bar just goes right into the hot shoe. Let's see here. A couple more questions. All right. There was a question about software, and it said, can you ask Clay about software he uses for his video work, and also what software he tethers with? Well, of course, the tethering software would be the CamRanger.
Yeah. Well, I used to tether before CamRanger even existed, because I saw it. It was like 2 years ago at Photo Plus. So, and I was just like, I got to get that, because I'd used iFi cards, and I'd used so many different ways to try to tether on location, and just none of them really worked. So when I saw CamRanger, I was like, oh man, I have to have that. But before that, I always tethered to Lightroom. I just tethered right into Lightroom, and it works. It works great. I love it. What was the question before that?
The other half of the question was just the software you were using for tethering, and yeah, so I think you pretty much answered it.
Video. So
video, yes.
Yeah, what I used for video is actually Sony Vegas. I think I have 11 Sony Vegas. The reason why I like Sony Vegas is because that's just always what I use. It works. It's really easy to use. The interface is really easy. I know a lot of people use Premiere or Final Cut, things of that nature. I think those are great programs. I've dabbled in Premiere, and I think it's got a really good seamless. Premiere obviously has seamless integration with the other proprietary programs like Photoshop and whatever you want to use. I think it's color grading program. I forgot the name, but Speed Grade. They all work pretty seamlessly. So Premiere is great. I just use Vegas because that's what I've always used, and I found it to be extremely easy. And yeah, it's a great program. It's what I recommend. Plus, it's cheap. It's real cheap. I know Adobe is now doing the subscription program, so I have the full thing where I get all the programs, but I still use Vegas just because I found that it's some of the most simplest software to use on the video editing side of things.
Wonderful. Okay, a lot of questions are coming through, and this isn't Clay, but we are recording the webinar, and we are going to be sending out a follow-up email with all of the gear that he did mention. So all of you guys are going to know exactly which pieces he has for his entire camera setup. So hopefully that helps everyone kind of answer that question. Let's see here. And a couple of questions have been going through about the mounting of the iPad. I think for the most part, I mean, we're going to be covering all of that here shortly. So just kind of stay tuned. Let me go through and see if there's any other questions. Oh, there was a question about your mic that you have on your rig. I know you and I discussed that, and it's just a generic mic.
It's a very cheap mic I got probably a couple of years ago, but it honestly works for the behind the scenes. I'm always one to have some really good stuff, but the lav, it's like this Asden Pro. It's like super generic stuff that I found on Amazon that works great. I know that there's some really expensive lavs like the Shure and Sennheiser make that are great lav mics. I just haven't quite invested into that yet, but obviously the more popular these things become, the more I'll have to invest in that. So.
All right, wonderful. Well, for the most part, the rest of the questions are more follow-up things and specific ones about the CamRanger app, which actually, if everyone kind of stays tuned, we're going to be putting, well, actually, I could probably do that right now. Let me go ahead and launch this poll real quick. Actually, we really want to know if anyone currently owns any of the following, and what this will kind of give us to do is develop more of a webinar based around kind of what you have and what your questions are. Even for this one, if you currently own any of the following or don't, but you want more information about that, click on that one as well, just so we can have that for future. And especially with Clay having a lot of knowledge about how he uses CamRanger and GoPro and whatnot, that obviously we have to keep this webinar a little bit short just so everybody can kind of keep it right at an hour. So we'll probably be covering other webinars down the road for any other topics. So I'll wait just a few more seconds so everyone can finish those. All right. Thank you, everybody, for submitting there. All right. Wonderful. Okay. A couple other ones. Let me see here. One person did, this will be the last question that we take, but of course, if you guys have any other questions after this, please feel free to email either Outdoor Photo Gear or Tether Tools for any of those other follow-up questions.
Yeah, and also me, like if they ever have any questions of what I use in this rig, you can email me as well, info@claycookphotography, or hit me up on any of my social sites, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. I always respond. So.
All right, perfect. Thank you for giving that information out. The last question that I'm going to go through is actually a gentleman. He asked, do you find that some of your models or subjects become intimidated during the shoot with the size of all of your gear? And how do you create a comfort zone around them?
That's a really great question. I do. So usually the models that I work with, they're agency models. So They're kind of used to it. They're pretty professional models. I explain to them what I'm doing, so I basically will show them during hair and makeup or when they walk on, like, hey, you know, I'm going to do this cool GoPro video, and this is kind of what I have going on. And they're always cool. They're like, oh, that's awesome, you know, and they're really engaging into it because it gives them content as well to spread. If you have behind the scenes, they usually always share that. So it's good for them as well. Now, it is huge and it can be intimidating, but it kind of comes back to the perception thing, which I covered in a recent F-Stoppers article. A lot of these photographers use big cameras and they have big things and lights everywhere, and they don't even use half of them. But what that is perception. To you know, the bigger camera you have, sometimes in people's minds, the better photographer you are. So that's not the reason why I do this, but it is a perception that I have going on. So that plays a role in this as well. So it doesn't really intimidate them ever. I've never ran into that at all once you explain it to them. So.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you again, Clay, for taking the time to walk through your entire setup and the 8-pound rig that you have sitting there on the aero table. But I think, from all the questions, it looks like it was definitely informative for everyone. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go a little bit more in depth. I'm sorry, about a few more options on how to mount your GoPro and your CamRanger. So just give me a couple seconds here to switch over from Clay. Everyone wave to Clay digitally here. All right, wonderful. Okay, so for all of the other mounting options, I'm actually going to pass it over to Brad Matthews so he can go ahead and take this side of the presentation. So give me 1 second.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining everybody. You know, today, Clay. Thank you very much for you know, providing a lot of the detail into how you shoot, and you know, thanks to Outdoor Photo Gear as well. So what we want to do at this point in time is kind of take a look at some of the different ways that you can mount not only your CamRanger but the you know, the cords and your GoPros and things like that. All right, so Clay had mentioned that he likes to, you know, potentially get the CamRanger, especially with the size of his rig, you know, somewhere away from his camera. So Tether Tools has the ability to provide some of those solutions to you guys. One of the ones that you'll see here has the CamRanger mounted to the Tether Tools master clamp and utility arm. This allows you to basically mount the CamRanger to a light stand. And we sell this in a kit called the CamRanger Tripod Mounting Kit. This includes the Mighty Mount, the dual baby stud, a mini pro clamp, and a jerk stopper thread mount to kind of keep that cable in place. Next, we'll look at kind of the on-camera mounting system. I believe one of the questions from one of the attendees asked, where does Clay, you know, kind of put his CamRanger, since he has a lot of that gear on top of his camera when he's using the Lav as well as the Pocket Wizard. Tether Tools does make the crossbar here, which allows you to do that. You'll see here that there is a Pocket Wizard Plus 3 connected to the camera, as well as the CamRanger. So in this kit, what you'll find is a 1-foot tether cable. Since you're bringing the CamRanger up on top of the camera and not necessarily hanging on your side or on a light stand or on a tripod, we've shortened that cable for you a little bit. No reason to have all that additional cable with the CamRanger mounted directly to your camera or just above your camera. We include the Mighty Mount as well as the 1/4-20 adapter. Those are the two smaller pieces up in the right-hand corner. The Mighty Mount is an adhesive solution that will mount to the bottom of your CamRanger, and then the 1/4-20 adapter would essentially screw into the Mighty Mount and then onto the rock-solid 6-inch accessory bar that you see there on the bottom. So Tether Tools also has additional ways to mount the CamRanger, and a very simple solution which would also allow you to mount the CamRanger via the hot shoe using the Tether Tools Smart Clip. Basically what this would allow you to do is whether it's your CamRanger or say you have some other type of utility that you wanted to mount to the top of your camera, the Smart Clip basically opens and closes on a hinge. And then again, we have the Mighty Mount and the 1/4-20 adapter that we discussed previously. So one of the other great tools and solutions that Tether Tools offers is a piece called the Strap More Extender. This would give you the ability, as you see here, to mount the CamRanger to a camera strap. You could also use the Strap More Extender to mount it to your belt. You could use this extender to mount it to a tripod leg. Basically, anywhere that you needed to mount the CamRanger. This piece of Velcro hook and loop is a stretchy material, would allow you to wrap around, let's say, a tripod leg or a light stand, and in essence keep the CamRanger in place. All right, so back to mounting, your iPad. We get a lot of questions, and as you can see here, this kind of fits right in line with what Outdoor Photo Gear does as a business. You see a camera here on a tripod, and this is the heavy-duty setup for securing your iPad to a tripod. What you'll notice in this kit is we have the Master Connect, which is the piece at the top. Actually, let's discuss the iPad case first. This is kind of the key point. So Tether Tools supplies this iPad case, generation 1 through 4 iPads, the iPad Mini, the iPad Air, and this is kind of the key or the guts to this Wally system. This iPad case will allow you to connect your iPad to the Tether Tools Connect bracket, which is the circular piece there that looks like it has a small X on top. The great thing about that bracket is it gives you the ability to mount your iPad to a 1/4-20 stud, 3/8 stud, or the top of a C stand. It would also give you the ability to mount it to a Tether Tools master arm, which you see there's the V-shaped bracket or arm with the tension knob there in the middle. Once you loosen up this tension knob, it would allow the arms to move in different directions. It would also allow the 2 hinge points at each end to pivot as well. So you would connect the bracket to that master arm, and then you would attach that master arm to the master clamp, which is just to the left of that larger arm. And this would give you the ability to mount this heavier duty setup to a tripod, to a C stand, to basically anything that you needed to mount the iPad to, whether it be a table or anything else. What you'll see here is we have additional ways to mount your iPad using the Wally Connect system. As you see here, it is mounted to a microphone stand. Obviously, you can use this mounting method for various ways outside of just the microphone stand. But again, the guts to it is the iPad Wally case, the Connect light bracket, which Clay had mentioned earlier that he uses for his BLACKRAPID strap, which we will discuss in just a moment, and then our Easy Grip standard. And basically, this Easy Grip bracket would allow you again to mount your iPad to let's say a light stand, C stand, anything, basically a table, anything that you would need to mount it to. And here was the method that Clay says that he uses quite a bit during his sessions, especially for those individuals who have hired him, want to kind of see what his pictures are looking like. So he basically hands this bracket, this strap, and his iPad over to possibly the director of the shoot. That way they can kind of get an idea of how the pictures are turning out for the session. So again, what this kit would include is a BLACKRAPID strap. There's a small D-ring that you can see just above the connect. It is actually what the BLACKRAPID strap connects to. And then again, the Connect light bracket. And this bracket again is much smaller than the Connect that we showed you earlier for the heavy duty setup. One of the major differences outside of the size or the depth of that bracket is this bracket only allows for a 1/4-20 stud. It does not have the 3/8 or the light stand mounting method. All right, so mounting multiple GoPro cameras, obviously the other piece to Clay's presentation. We have the GoPro adapter that you see just below each one of these GoPros. It is the small piece with the cylindrical base just below the GoPro screw mount. We have the 1/4-20 adapter, which we discussed earlier when we were discussing the CamRanger. This would be the piece that would actually mount to the Tether Tools accessory bar. And then again, the Tether Tools accessory bar is kind of what keeps everything in place. So mounting a GoPro and securing your cables. Clay had mentioned this in regards to wanting to get better sound, but basically again, the Tether Tools GoPro adapter, the small cylindrical piece that gives you the ability to mount your GoPro to a light stand or any type of 1/4-20 thread mount. And on the left-hand side, we have a jerk stopper 1-inch A-clamp. And then on the right-hand side, we have the GoPro adapter with the jerk stopper mini pro clamp. So the A-clamp on the left is a half-tension Tether Tools clamp. Many of you have probably seen this type of clamp in a studio. The great thing about this clamp from Tether Tools, not only is it half tension, but it is black, so it cuts down on any reflective properties or extra kind of glare in your photos. And then the mini pro clamp on the right we saw earlier, but this would give you the ability to not only connect a jerk stopper, but you could also connect one of Tether Tools articulating arms. All right, so in this picture we have the GoPro adapter again, the small cylindrical piece that allows you to mount your GoPro, and then the Easy Grip Standard. We also have Easy Grip Large and Extra Large, but basically these Easy Grips give you the ability to mount your GoPro camera or any type of camera or flash or anything like that to a fixed object, i.e. a light stand, C-stand, table, as you see here. And then we do have in our system the Tether Tools Power Grips. Basically these are suction cups. The great thing about our suction cups is it does have a small indicator line that tells you when the cups would start to kind of lose some of their suction, so you know to give it a few more pumps. But as you can see here, we have the Power Grip 3.0 attached to a GoPro adapter, which is in turn attached to a GoPro itself. All right. Well, hopefully that answered a lot of questions. Like I said, if you have any additional questions about Tether Tools gear, please feel free to reach out to Tether Tools at customerservice@tethertools.com. Feel free to give us a call. You can also reach out to Outdoor Photo Gear, or as Clay mentioned earlier, he'll be happy to answer anything in regards to his setup or his solutions, not only for mounting, but for cable management or anything like that. And again, thank you guys very much. And Amber, I'm going to pass it back over to you.
All right, thanks so much, Brad. And of course, as Brad said, you know, if anybody has any questions, please reach out to either Clay, Outdoor Photo Gear, or ourselves at Tether Tools. We're kind of here to take all of your questions. And also just a reminder, don't forget about the coupon code that Outdoor Photo Gear is offering, the Tether 10, and it does expire September 30th, 2014. So again, thank you everyone for taking the time. We really appreciate everyone coming out. And again, we will be sending a follow-up email that does have the video once we do get the video edited and with all links and everything. So you'll have access to that, as well as a follow-up email that does list all of the gear that Clay was talking about today. So thank you again for everyone coming out. And if you want to leave us any comments or anything, please, Facebook, Twitter, any of those avenues, you can reach out to us there. So hopefully everyone has a great week, and thank you again for coming.